Hello, Dr. Nance. Greetings from Joe Austin here. Um, this assignment is very interesting. You ask us to speak 5 to 7 minutes, which it can create conflict, of course. Some of us are short-winded, some of us are long-winded. But I really gave thought to the conflict question, and I took it around in my experience well, and I let a bucket down, and I came up with conflict, social media 101. In most churches today, you find that you have two things that you approach. You have change and you have tradition. And in those two aspects of the church, you have people that come in and they say, hey, why aren't we doing it this way? And then you have, on the other hand, the traditional family that's been in the church with longevity. And, well, we did it this way when my grandmother was here, when my mother was here, and now I'm here, and my children and my grandchildren are here. And if it was good enough for me, why isn't it good enough for us today? Well, now we have social media, and it's quite interesting because in my church I saw the gains that we could have with media probably 8 years ago. And I had a conversation with the senior pastor at that time, and he wanted no part of video streaming of his services every day, every Sunday. He wanted no part of posting any type of messages on any type of social media. He just didn't agree with it. Also, now, he did not want any laptops, iPads, or cell phones located in the sanctuary hall during his sermons. And over the years, his position on those things have changed. But in the beginning, it created conflict because I was one that I saw the advantages of media. It's a new highway for ministry. I guess we could look back over history, and we didn't always have Bibles. Probably in the beginning, if we went back to the Old Testament period, things weren't written down, and they were just told at firesides or stories, and they were hand passed from generation to generation until recording started. And then when recording started, they still just studied, certain ones studied it and passed it from tribe to tribe. And over the generations, things started to change because we got different forms of communication. And as communication changed, this was a mechanism for us to change. Well, I saw the change happen in our church when it was time for growth. Our senior pastor is very interested in education, and especially the youth education. And he came with an idea to build a youth school for adolescents 3 to age 8. And he ran into conflict. There was the traditional that did not want the church investing into any school. And then there were the new that wanted to see the church grow and gain in the community. And it was quite interesting because the challenges that he faced seemed to dwindle away with time. He faced challenges, but they accepted them as he proposed what he saw and what his vision was. That God had gave him a vision to start up this new type ministry and to reach out and provide a new avenue of education for youth in the community. It was quite interesting as the senior pastor encountered conflict and how he handled the conflict was more like group sessional therapy, because he brought the traditionalists and the new changers, that's what I'll call them for now, into a room together and created a board. And every time that there was a conflict in the church about change, he would do this. He would create the pro and con team, and they would hash it out. And normally what would happen is we would move forward, and then we would always be able to look back at the results. So it's kind of interesting because now today I talked to him about the fact that 8 years ago we were not going to let anyone use their debit card to pay their tithes and offering to the church. Now, if you're not going to be at church, you can just get online and you can pay your tithes and offering. We weren't going to have social media. Now we have a moment with Larry on Facebook. He even wants me to start a ministry on Facebook to do weekly devotional conversations with junior ministers. And these ideas have popped up. And we even do live video streaming of our Sunday services for those that aren't able to be there. And it's quite interesting because these were conflict areas that we resolved in groups, that we took on small challenges, and eventually we adapted the new changes. I wish I had more time, but I see that my little 7 minutes just ate up, and I guess the old adage is don't give the preacher the mic, because the clock ticks, and we really don't know how to encapsulate our short periods of speaking. But I will close with just one point, and that is change seems to be always the center of conflict. Thank you, and good night.